Yes, welcome. I'm Rolando Underwood, and I'm dealing with starting a charter with indigenous, Aborigines people of America, a grassroots community, a nonpartisan political body. And we also talk about business. We're an umbrella show, and we talk about different things like businesses. We talk about collectively going over to invest in the global gold currency and how to get us out of debt. But I'd like to introduce Dwight Jones, businessman, that came onto the show, and welcome.
How you doing?
Yes, sir. So I want to do a swing on the show and make it part business as well. I want to explain what Iapa is, and Iapa is dealing with developing a political platform and addressing the main issues and concerns on the national level, local level, and at the state level, and how we want to send our lobbyists to these particular entities to address those concerns. Like I said before, we are nonpartisan charter that will represent us Americans, indigenous, Aborigines people at the grassroots communities, and so that we can get things done. We're talking about change, and since we clearly see that the other side does not want to change, our position now is to move on and change for the betterment of us. But the second part I want to do is about business, because I've been hearing that we need to support black business and buy black and do a collective and using our money to take care of us, keeping that money within the community, taking that money to circulate within that community, and taking that money to make sure that we build upon each other so that we can gain economic wealth. And in that process of gaining economic wealth, how to contain it later and how to make it to give us financial freedom from the things that we are going through today, so that we can build upon it other businesses and manufacturers and so on. And that's why, I asked Mr. Jones here to come on the show to explain what he's doing as his part in this collective support of black business, in which he calls something else, which I'll let him tell you.
How you doing? My name is Dwight Jones. I got a business. It's import-export. It deals with business around the world. We don't have to encompass ourselves and just stay within inside of America, because the whole world is your customer. And what they're trying to do in America is get you to believe that you can't create your own. Every other society that has ever lived in America created their own. They got their own banks, they got their own stores, hotels, which we had when we first came out of slavery. We had all those things, but when we integrated, then what happened when we integrated was we started going to their stores, and then they ran highways through our business district. So in order to have a voice at the table, we must first rebuild our economic power. And in order because they really don't listen to numbers, they listen to money. And when you're dealing with a society that only listens to money, and you have no economic structure in order to get at the table, then we are in a deficit. But most people want you to just deal with America. And when you deal with America, then you leave out your true power, because we are the only race that our heritage stops in America. Chinese is not a Chinese American. He's still a Chinese, and his heritage comes from China. A German, they still go back to their German heritage. But if you came over as a slave, now all of a sudden you are an African American, a black, or these different kind of names they give you, which truly do not exist. So what I'm trying to do is make this a structure that deal with all people of melanite. So if you have melanite, then you have a structure of all the world. So my business is called BBEP, which is Building Black Economic Power. and it deals in seafood, a lot of different kind of commodities from red snapper, grouper seafood, shrimp, to cashew nuts, palm oil, and several other things. And what I'm trying to do now is get a collective of people of color or melanite that are willing to come in and then constituent their own and build a network where you don't have to go and beg another party for a vice president at a corporation or anything like that because it's inside your own collective body. And therefore, you don't have to beg another group to give you power. You don't have to wear your hair a certain way. You don't have to get rid of your culture or anything to get a job.
So basically you're saying building, I'm going to kill the word black, but melanated economic power.
Right.
Within ourselves.
Right, within your own communities, because every community does.
So how do we do that? Let's just say, example, if I was going to buy a product from you and to build upon the product you get throughout the world, to bring back here weekly, how do I do that?
Well, because we deal in a mass production just like Sam's, we can't bring back 5 pounds because the cost to put it on the water and those kind of things will cost too much. The lowest number of people that we will be able to deal with, that's why I say you need a collective, get you a group of people, it's 100 people buying at least 5 pounds
Right.
of the different commodities, and then we can actually start it up. But really we're looking to have 10,000, 15,000, 20,000 people a week, and we can sell you these products by cutting out the middleman at wholesale prices. So it's like, say if you would go to Kroger's and say shrimp is $12.99, you'll be able to get that shrimp from us for $7.99.
So that's basically like bulk buying.
That's bulk buying, just like Sam's,
Right.
just like anything, but you bulk buying at a small level. Because see, bulk buying usually make you about 20, 30 pounds, but you just need a collective 5 pounds. And so what you're trying to do now is cut out 2 links in the chain to buy your product and be able to buy your product at what Kroger's buy their product is to sell it to you.
So as melanated people that's trying to come into mainstream of buying, I'm going to use that word, black, then we have to come on a collective level to do this buying for our homes, for our businesses, for our hotels, and for all things that's dealing
Right,
with.
because every other group does it in a collective manner. That's how you have mass money. See, what we try to do is say, well, I'm going to do it all by myself. You don't need nobody. They teach you that so you understand that there's power
Right.
in numbers.
There you
And when you come and collectively buy, then you can bring the price down. But if you do not collectively buy, then you have to buy at $10 instead of $7.99. You can't save $3. It's about $10.99 instead of $7.99.
Right.
And they don't want. Then once you truly start to buy collectively, then that even $7.99 can come down, because what you're doing is mass producing, and then all the money that you do actually put into the business goes back into your community. Because now we're gonna build our own houses, we're gonna build our own hotel, we're gonna build our own stores like we had before. You did when we were young, and I don't know, I'm giving my age a little bit, but when I was young and I went to a corner store, that corner store was owned by a person of color. It was not owned by an Arabic. It was not owned by a white person. It was owned by somebody within our community. It sold to the people within our community. And then when a person wanted a job, if he knew the people in the community, then he hired the people that he know. I don't have anything against people, Caucasians or anything like that, because they hire from their community. They're not doing anything to hurt us. They're just doing what's their best interest. We're not doing what's our best interest. Our best interest is to collectively grow our community. And that don't mean that I dislike Caucasians or I dislike Indians or dislike anything. I just want us to be able to stand on our own to come to a table. You can't come to a table when you own nothing, because they don't have to listen to you.
Right, that's correct. That is very much so. I think my concern, and as well as maybe constituents that's listening to this today, is how do I get involved in part of this collective bulk buying, and what will be the turnaround in that same aspect of it?
Well, when we first start the bulk buying, we'll probably be looking at, right now, I go over once a month to Africa. I'm in about 8 to 10 different African countries. I go over once a month. We would have to actually set up a product distribution as far as that. Right now, I don't have the bulk buying system exactly set up, but we will probably be looking at
That's what I was going to ask.
once a week when we start bulk buying. That's why I say you got to have 100 people per week. As long as you have 100 people per week, I could drop ship. So, but if you don't have that many, then
Now, is there a place we would send that money to, or?
yes, there will be a place that you send in that just like any other company when you making an order for your product.
Right.
But you have to have at least 100 people, and that's why I said I don't want to mislead people. I don't want 5 people sending money. Why I ain't got my product? It has to be at least 100 people in order to make it viable for the business to even make a profit.
And what's the turnaround like? 72-day turnaround, 3-day turnaround? Or?
Well, you're looking at seafood. It's a 72-hour, just like the ones over here in America. If you order offline, you're looking at seafood order from anywhere from 3 to 4 days. They can put it out. You can order overnight for extra money. But since we'll be just starting in this collective buy, we'll be looking at from 3 to 4 day turnaround.
So, like, if people call the TV show, or you give them a number they can call, and then we put up a little, let's say, a date that all money has to be in for this bulk buy, and then we can give them a date of when this can return on it. Would that be more like sufficient that we would have to do?
Well, we're going to have to do that because we're going to say, when you put your order in, okay, at first, when you first start out, the first 100 has to have a designated date of entry and a designated date of sale. Right. But once we have a collective that we're doing, like say maybe 5,000, then you won't have had that beginning date because we know we have at least 100 every week.
Correct.
Therefore, there would be continuous commodities coming in. Then all you're looking at, anytime you send the money in, you're looking at a 72 hour to 104 hour turnaround, 3 to 4 days.
And then the pickup?
No, that's
just ordering.
That's to them.
So once it gets here within that 72 hours to 104 hours,
well,
then where would they go pick their product up?
Well, so we right now we are setting up with the 100 at a central location, and we would give that before the money would come. So we would have a central location. They come and pick it up, and they would know through text when they should come and pick it up because the product is coming in the air. So like say it would be from anywhere from 24 to 72 hours that it would land. Right. And so when it's in the air, 8 hours from the United States, then we would give text and give time.
This is fresh food now?
Well, that's fresh or frozen. Still, we can do fresh and frozen, but when it's in the air, it's 8 hours, and it's 8 hours to New York, and usually here to Cincinnati, it's another 4 or 5.
Okay, so.
Before it lands in Cincinnati.
Okay, I keep forgetting it's coming from out of the country.
Yeah, it's coming from out of the country. It's it's 8 hours to New York, and then it's about another 4 or 5 to Cincinnati, 3 or 4 to St. Louis, 2 to Miami, Florida. So once it lands, then it would be distributed throughout the different places based on the next available plane. So we would know exactly what time to land, and then you go get out of the customs. So you'll be looking at probably about, from time it's in the air, about 16 hours from your pickup time.
That's interesting because to me, that's very lucrative too.
Well, it's not so much about lucrative. It's about, like you said, first us constituting with each other, and secondly, we know that these foods are not contaminated. These are wild caught, fresh foods. They're not sprayed with all these things from Monsanto, all these chemicals. See, the whole thing
we're trying to get away from.
The whole thing, the reason I started going over there because they have virgin land. Over here, the product in America has less minerals than the product from Africa. Africa has a whole lot more minerals in. If you eat a cashew nut out of California and eat a cashew nut out of Africa, one is going to be much more potent for your system than the other. The African, they want to tell you to buy the product out of Africa at a discounted price because they don't really want you to know the value. The value of that product actually coming out of Africa and virgin land is much greater than a product because the minerals in the soil has been depleted in America.
Now, we noticed that they don't put they won't allow labeling on some foods, and then those that come into our Krogers that are contaminated from different countries, China and so on. Do you feel that we need to put more labels on where they come from?
Well, they just started that. They just started labeling they call it origin.
Origin, right.
Product of origin. So they just now made a new law where you do have to label the origin from where it comes from. And even the store has, if you go read the fine print, it may be small now in the store, but it will give you the origin. But what you should be looking at more than the origin is whether it's farm raised or wild caught, whether it's natural or GMO. Because anything that's GMO, genetically modified, means take it from its origin of God. God does the best product. He who created all created the best product. And anytime somebody tell you, I'm going to do a better job, normally they mess it up.
Yes, we've been noticing that through the GMO products, and I've been telling my constituents not to buy GMO. Get it close to organic as possible, and the best way to get it organic is to dirt to work to grow your own.
True.
And that's another show we have to teach us how to sustain ourselves.
Correct.
Because you don't know how long a system's going to be here, but while it's here, that's collectively use it wisely. And that's why I brought Mr. Dwight on the show, Mr. Jones, under his company BBBEP, Building a Black Economic Power. And we have to collectively start building this power collectively so that within ourselves, we can determine our progression and our nature for as health is concerned. I think it's a great idea what you're doing because you know I'm a firm believer to grow yourself and to find alternative ways to buy other than what they force you to or they design, which there has no safeguards for your health.
True.
And that's the main reason why, you know, I want you to come on the show so that he can give anyone the opportunity to collectively support BBEP and buying a different way so that on a weekly basis. And I like to get these numbers up as a reason for us to move in a unified structure, organized structure, breaking the psychological program of what's been designed by the other side to by as the melanated, I'm gonna use your word, and support the BBEP business on that level. So come on, y'all, let's get on board. Let's make this work because this is part of breaking the chains towards freedom.
And starting a foundation.
And starting a strong foundation because once this foundation is laid, we're not only talking about just who can hear us on the TV land, but we talk about nationwide and worldwide. So we're supporting our people on the other end as well, so that you know we keep the financing.
Financing within the structure of the world. So I'm buying from Africa to come over to bring it to Melanite blacks in America, which we would then be in Brazil and other places, and their land would be built up because of what we're buying.
Right.
Our land would be built up because of what they're supplying us with.
Correct.
And then we will have a seat at the table. So it's a collective circle for everybody. Now, the other thing that I wanted to say, I forgot to say one thing. He keeps the company was originally BBEP. But now online, if you look at my my email, I did BEP because I took one of the B's out because it had black in it. Because once I started studying all this and going back and studying my heritage and all these things, I found out black, the word that they created for us, has no standing in law. It does not exist. It exists to put you in slavery. So I took one B out, and it's BEP on my email right now. It's Dwight@BIPcommodities.com. And so it's building economic power because the word black was a way to make you a second-class citizen, and we don't even realize that. It's a lot of things that's done with words, and we do have to study and understand collectively as a culture what is being done to you, why it's being done to you, and the remedy is to get out of the things that's being done to you. Because there's ways to walk inside of their culture without being afflicted by their culture.
Yeah, that's powerful. That's very powerful. And I suggest that everyone that's hearing my voice, or everyone's hearing our voice, come on board and be part of this change, because we're going to present changes in many forms. Because loving ourselves is the first step in part of unity, and we send this collectively all the way around, and loving ourselves and supporting ourselves, and buying among ourselves and building among ourselves, so that we can move in the direction that we need to move in. Not only that we're going to do, like I say, charters and make things happen on a collective level nationally, but to plug that in on a national level to buy and build in ourselves, as well as invest, because that's going to be one of the keys, investing, so that we can bring more to the table to us, indigenous Aborigines people of America, because being nonpartisan and separating from Democratic Party, Republican Party, and all other parties, and then dealing with us and letting them know that we have a voice too. We want to be heard. We want things done. And if you don't do it, then, okay, now we know. And we know that we must break away and build, no matter which way we go. And this is just one way, BEP, right? .com. Yep. And my thing is to keep it where we come into power. And coming into power does mean that it has to be a collective effort. Sure. And once that collective effort comes, you start seeing the true power in yourself, because that's the beginning of changing oneself, to change one's mindset, to change one's thought, to change one's doings, how they do business. And once that happens, then we're going to start seeing a greater us, and to me, and the more healthier us too, because we're trying to stay healthy by dirt to work, grow your own, and BEP, combine
building
economic power of buying product that's going to be more of, and that's
a holistic product.
That's the thing.
A holistic product.
That's the main thing. What do you think about the psychological breakthrough that on the propaganda that has been designed to keep us contained?
Well, I wanted to piggyback on what you were saying.
Okay, go ahead.
Some of the things you were saying prior to this, you were saying as a collective, and we have to heal ourselves. See, the key thing you said is heal yourself. First and foremost, you said love is heal, because remember, you have gone through a culture, a TV system, and everything that you see about yourself is negative. Everything they give you about your woman, about your man, about your baby is negative. So what you want to do is go through a situation where you do heal yourself. We have to come together collectively to heal our community. This business is only to give you a holistic way of looking at your whole community. It's not only about making money. This is about, if I'm doing well, then I'm gonna make sure you're doing well. It's a community again. It's not about, I wanna make 80 million and you make $8. It's about, as I grow, so will you grow. We have to come back to the point where we were long ago when we had nothing, nobody went hungry, because we were collective. And if we are a collective with a collective in business, then the same thing will happen. So you will have one of the most flourishing communities in the world, not in America, because the collective always makes sure everyone is doing well. And that's what this is about. It's about feeding the world. You are leaders in almost everything you've ever done in this world. If you go back and do the history of America, you was a leader. They didn't tell you were, but you were a leader. And the same person that was assistant to Bell and Alexander Bell and created the phone, created electricity. They had all the same black people working for them. And that black person no longer worked for them. They quit making products. So just think about it. It was a time that you couldn't do it yourself. But why that person didn't make any more discoveries when that one person left, you just don't realize the greatness in you because they're trying to give you so much negativity. So we have to go back to the basic and heal ourselves, teach ourselves, and don't train your children like you train animals because they want us to beat our children. We have to encourage our children. We're the only people that train our children like you train a horse to take its spirit. We must build a spirit. If you build a spirit, it can go high. And so that's all I'm saying. This whole thing that we're doing is not just about business. A business, it's about building and instilling true spirit. Because once the spirit is right, nothing can stop you.
Wow, that's strong. That's strong. And like I was saying, I miss those days where we ate together and we did well together or we did bad together. Right. So, but right now we're gonna try to make it where we do well together and grow economically strong and continue this
to flourish.
To flourish. Because remember, this is the time of the conscious level. So I'd like to thank Mr. Jones for coming on to the show and sharing not only the economic part of it, but the collective part of it and the spiritual part of it. And thank you for coming on, sir. Would you like to say anything to say?
Oh, well, I thank you for letting me on the show because all I want to do is just get information because I'm telling you.
How can we reach you?
You can reach me by calling me at 513-328-8856. And like I said, truth will set us free. And if we come together, like he said, collectively and invest together, we'll build something great. But if you're trying to be afraid, we can never acquire the things that we should because...
Or we can go online with BEP.com.
Or you can go online and put Dwight at DWIGHT at BEP Commodities, COMMODITIES.com.
And I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in this Iapa report and how we're going to do things now in America to create change. So.
Oh, we shut out?